Welcome to the Arts Workplace. This is a place for arts administrators to find practical knowledge, honest reflection, and real experience inside the work. I'm Amy, and I've spent my entire career in arts administration. As I was thinking about where to begin, I realized what better place to start than with how I've been using AI to build this brand and this platform. So today's story is I built an entire website in one night. And I want to be specific about what I mean by that because I'm not talking about dragging things around in a template. It was a fully designed website, complete brand identity, design system, multiple pages of content, visual style I'm genuinely proud of. All in all, it was about 4 hours of work, most of which was me watching and testing what came out. The total cost for a full year of hosting was $74. And if you already have a Claude subscription that you're paying for, then the marginal cost of the build is really zero. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how I did it step by step. And if you find this useful, please hit the like button. It helps other arts administrators find this content. Starting with my methodology, I always start with Claude Chat. Chat is my brainstorming buddy. This is where I do all of my planning. Before I open any other tool, I have a conversation. I use it to brainstorm, get my thinking organized, produce whatever I need to hand off to the next step. So chat is where the thinking happens. Everything I build starts there. For this project, I went to chat to build my brand document. I then used Claude Design to create a design kit and a full HTML mockup of my website. And then I went to Claude Cowork to actually build the pages in my WordPress website, each tool doing what it does best. The first thing I did was build a brand document. And this was entirely a conversation with Claude Chat. I already had a logo and I had some colors I had been working with. So I wasn't starting completely from scratch. What I needed was to get everything documented clearly enough that I could hand it to another tool and have that tool understand what I was trying to build. We worked through the brand identity together, who this channel is for, what the tone should feel like, what I wanted the site to accomplish, how I describe this platform in a single sentence or in a larger channel description. The kind of foundational thinking you need to have before you try to build anything. This is what came out of that hour. It became the foundation for everything else. The brand document is the brief. It's what I hand off so nothing gets invented. Once I had a brand document that I was happy with, I moved on to Claude Design. Design has some suggested options to get started. And rather than jump straight into a website, I selected Design Kit. I shared the brand document and then watched to see what it came up with without any prompting from me. I, of course, also shared the logos and the color palettes I had been working with. What it produced for me was very little effort on my part, was a complete design kit. Biography, color application, component styles, layout guidance. It also did something I wasn't expecting. My original logo files were low quality JPEGs, no transparent backgrounds. It produced cleaner, higher quality versions I could actually use. And it offered to create YouTube thumbnails, social media assets, and other brand materials. So if you're building a presence across multiple platforms, this is a really useful starting point for all of it. But what I needed most was the HTML mockup of my website. I gave it the structure I wanted, the pages and what should be on each one, and watched it build a full prototype. Here is the HTML mockup that was given to me by Claude Design. This is then what I handed off to Cowork along with my brand document. So it took me about an hour of work to get to this point. And I wouldn't call it work. I'd call it occasionally chatting while Claude did the work. And then I had a clear picture of exactly what I wanted the finished site to look like. And then finally, building the site in WordPress. So I had a WordPress account set up. I connected it to Claude via the connectors option in Claude. I gave Claude Cowork my HTML mockup, and directed it to directly edit the WordPress site, and I asked it to build my site. What Cowork does is take actions inside your connected tools that you would otherwise have to do manually. So it's creating pages, it's applying styles, building out the structure, and watching it work and testing what comes out. There were a couple of things to work through. I wouldn't say that it was super easy, but pretty easy to resolve the issues. The main issue was a CSS conflict. Cowork was applying custom styling from the HTML mockup I put together, but WordPress had some native templates in place that kept overriding the custom coding that Cowork was trying to apply. So styles weren't appearing. The good news is I did not have to solve this. Cowork picked up on the problem once I said, hey, the pages don't look like they're supposed to, figured out what was going on, and determined on its own that it was a template conflict, and it resolved it. So my job in the moment was really just user experience testing, not debugging. It would produce a product, I'd click through, I'd make sure it looked the way I wanted to. If it didn't, I would let it know it didn't look the way I expected. I would provide some screenshots of feedback. It would do the troubleshooting and the updating. So the site wasn't exactly right on the first pass, and I expected that. I'm a perfectionist, so there were about maybe 10 rounds of feedback. I'm constantly changing little details, spacing, background colors, button treatment, trying to get it as close to the mock-up as I possibly could. But the truth is the site was usable after the first or second iteration. Everything after that was just refinement of detail. And here you go. This is what I had by the end of the evening. Let's talk about what this actually cost me. I registered 2 domain names, the .com and the .org versions, through Namecheap. A full year of hosting through Namecheap for 2 domains was about $26. I prepaid the WordPress hosting for a year at only $4 a month, so that was $48. That's $74 total for a year of professional website hosting. And then the Claude side of it, it depends on your usage. Most people are spending around $20 a month on Claude to use the Claude Cowork and Claude Code features. And to accomplish this, that's probably enough. I have used the heck out of Claude, so I have recently upgraded to the $100 a month max plan because I'm building so many things, but that's not a necessity. And then here's the thing, I'm not using Claude only for this. I'm using it for everything I build. The website was not a separate expense. It was one of many things I did with a subscription I already had. So I really don't consider that an additional cost, just a pro of having that Claude tool. A professional web designer would have cost thousands of dollars, weeks, actually in my experience, months of back and forth. And I did this in one evening, and the site is mine. So what I really want you to take away is not that tools and AI are magic, because they're not. But what makes this work is the methodology. It's the planning, it's the thinking through the process. Chat first, get your thinking clear, build a brief, hand it to the right tool, direct it, test it, iterate. You don't need a developer, you don't need a designer, you just need a clear idea of what you want to build and the willingness to direct the work. And a lot of patience. You definitely need a lot of patience to sit there and go back and forth and do the testing with the tool. But it's worth the time and effort to get a really beautiful polished product in a short amount of time and minimal cost. And in the next video, tune in because I'm going to walk through a more complex build. I'm going to talk to you about a custom AI chat agent that I built for my patron support team here at the BSO. And this chat agent has an automated feedback loop that creates Asana tasks and drafts Notion articles anytime a response gets flagged. Same methodology, more moving parts. So you can check that out. If this was useful, please subscribe. Leave a comment if you have questions about any of the steps, and I will see you in the next one.